Hello, I'm Dr. Tom, and I'd like to welcome you to another Friday update. And I'd like to begin today with a couple of announcements about live events that are coming to you from inside the world of Jen. And I will remind you, first of all, that we finally have dates for the Successful Life course. Yes, the Successful Life course that we've been talking about for some time. The program that Ed and Erlene started decades and decades ago has now been revived with Erlene and Tom and Emily Ward. And they're going to be putting this on April the 28th to the 30th. They suggest you get in on the 27th so you'll be ready to go early that morning because they are punctual and it is an amazing amount of information that will take place. Now, this course will take place on the 28th, 29th, and 30th in St. Augustine, Florida. And if you've never been to St. Augustine, Florida, you are in for a treat because it is one of the most spectacular communities in this country. And I will share with you that this is a course that Kevin attended years and years ago and that he recommended and that we knew Ed and met Ed through a lecture. Actually, I remember it from the Fontainebleau in Miami. I was there last week, and I had those thoughts of remembering that time with Ed and Erlene. And my mom and dad went to his class back when it was given in Texas, and then Anna and I went to the class, and then I went back a couple of times, and Blaine has been to the class a number of times. And if there's one thing you can learn from the world of Jen is that if you'll do what other people have done that created their success, there's a system and a formula that will work for you as well. So if that fits for you, I would highly recommend and encourage that you get to that Successful Life course in St. Augustine. Next, Joshua Novi is going to be doing another weekend retreat. It will actually be in May, and I believe it's May the 20th to the 23rd, and it's going to be in Michigan. Now, if you'll remember when we talked about the one that he did in 2020, and the results and the reports and the comments that we got back about building that camaraderie, about building your dreams, about supporting each other and developing lifelong friendships, those are the kinds of things that happen at these live Jen events. And so again, both of these courses, you can go on the website, click on the events area. It will give you all the details, the pricing and where you go and all of the details about how you can attend those life-changing events. Next announcement I'd want to talk about is for those of you who are level 6 and level 7, you will be receiving an email about where we're going to be holding the trainings for you so that you can progress to level 8. So please be on the lookout for those emails and please respond as we determine where we're going to be holding those regional events, if you will, both in the United States and abroad. So we are on course, we are on schedule, we are moving forward. Life is so spectacular. I would also like to remind you that this week we have a new Power Up series from Sifu Stefan. I was so moved, actually, is the word, in watching Sifu Stefan on our Global Family Dream Weekend, the virtual event that we had. Go back and watch that again. Listen to him speak from his heart. And he comes across with such a knowingness and such a confidence and such a being in explaining how Jen has impacted him and how you can utilize the material that his family has spent decades developing and sharing with the world. And he is so gracious to share that with each of us inside the world of Jen. So again, thank you, Sifu Stefan. There is also a Financial Friday, another new one of those that Lee Kinney has put out. So please click on those. When you get those emails, go to the website, click on those, listen to them share. This information in this particular update is about cryptocurrency, about Bitcoin, about information. Remember, everyone has a different tolerance level in the world of investing, and there are so many different ways to invest. I have often shared with you my number one thing to invest in is me, because I know about me. And when I invest in myself, I have more control over the return. However, I also invest in many other things, and I have a specific tolerance that may be different than yours. And so what you must develop, and Lee did this, if you haven't watched any of these Financial Fridays, or if you're brand new to the club, go back and watch his initial one that talks about this very topic, this tolerance, the way in which you can find comfort and you can manage your, what I refer to as your risk-reward ratio. Some spectacular information, some spectacular sharing. And the last announcement that I'd like to talk about today is the Member for Member Mentoring Program. This program that Heather Purdue has put together is spectacular. It is nothing short of spectacular. And it will help you grow. It will help you find out who you are. It will help you understand investing in you and becoming who you can be. The first one of those events will be this Sunday, and I will tell you that it is closed out. It is, in this essence, sold out. It is maxed out. And she even added extra people. This is the demand, the thirst, if you will, the quest for more knowingness inside the Success Mastery course. She actually reached out to additional upper level members to help share in this mentoring process. And they, of course, responded. And they said yes. And so we grew it and grew it and grew it. It is now closed out for this one. So for level 1, for level 2, be ready next month. Be on the lookout. When you get those emails and the announcement comes out that it's time for level 2, please respond quickly. And we will do everything we can to enhance this program and to make it available to more people. This is the first one. It is, like I said, it is closed out because you asked for it and you responded. So congratulations to those of you who are in the mix, and we look forward to hearing your responses and your reports back from that. You know, when we see this growth of the club and we see this growth in the club, it is exactly part of what Kevin's initial dream was, about developing leadership inside the club. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened when Heather reached out, and why Heather grew as a leader, and then reached out to others, and reached out to Blaine and myself and Dr. Ted, and then reached out to some upper level members to begin to put together this program so that more people can win. That's what this is about. As a matter of fact, it gets so exciting that it might make the hair stand up on your head. As you can see from this picture, this is what happened to me this week in Miami as I was walking down the beach. You'll love this. I was walking down the beach and I see these seagulls on my right and a cruise ship on my left. And it instantly triggers the concept when I talk about Jen is all around you, because Jen is all around you. When Jen gets in you and you understand the concepts, everything you see takes on a different twist, if you will, a different view, a different way of looking at things. And I looked to my right and I saw these seagulls, and most people would probably say, oh, there are some seagulls, and they'd walk on down the beach. But that's not what I saw. Because of the training that I've had, what I saw was a few of those seagulls came to the front. A few of those seagulls were on the edge of where the waves would come up and bring the seaweed in. They were the ones who were the leaders. They were the ones who were willing to step forward. They were the ones that were not afraid of standing on the edge of the sand where the wind and the waves, where the resistance is, where the future is, where they could see the horizon. And then you'll notice in the picture, there are a few seagulls behind them. This is much like societies and much like people. And then behind them, they were taking less risk because the wind was coming up the beach. And so they were missing part of that wind. They weren't head into the wind, beat down, ready to take on the world. They were the next level of people, of gulls, of friends, of co-workers, of people in your life. And then behind them you'll see were the masses, kind of hunkered down, out of the wind, a little safer place, more secure, maybe more stable. None of those places are right or wrong. They just are. This is what's happening in this club, is you get a separation as people move to the upper levels, and they're not afraid to stand up and say, let me learn that. Hey, put me in, coach. Give me the ball. Show me how I can help others come along. Because the view from up here is spectacular. The view from up here is watching the waves crash. This is where the action is. Those waves crashing and that mist that comes up off of those, there's something about it that's just great for your soul. And I peered to my left and I saw this cruise ship. And of course it brought back the memories. And I've touched about this some last Friday and some even on my Wellness Wednesday. And yet this morning I had another thought about it. I remember a time on one of those cruises where Dr. Ted was speaking. And they understand, for those of you who are new in the club, one man had an idea to rent an entire cruise ship. I'm talking Royal Caribbean cruise ships, not small cruise ships, large cruise ships with thousands and thousands and thousands of people on them. If you rent it, they will come, was his theory. And sure enough, they did. And come they did. As a matter of fact, we had wait lists for people to get on these cruises. That's how many people came to these cruises. This is the vision of what this club has. And there was a lecture so cruise ships aren't set up for huge lectures. You know, there's typically restaurant areas and there's usually a place for a show, a single meeting space for the evening show. A couple of different restaurants, some places up front, a lounge. And we'd have Mary Miller in one lounge and Dr. Ted was in another and Blaine Aythorne was in one spot and John Gray was in another and Kreskin was there. It was amazing what happened. And I walked into this room and Dr. Ted happened to be speaking here. It was in a restaurant that was converted and it was packed standing room only. And I happened to get there a little bit ahead of my father. And the point of this story is when my father walked into that, it was like a set of grand steps. And I know many of you probably remember this because we were there together. It was a series of steps like this, like something out of the movies where there were multiple stages of these steps and a platform and then steps. And as he came down those steps, it was like one of those E.F. Hutton moments where everything stopped and everyone listened, everyone looked. And a round of applause broke out that I will remember the rest of my life. Because it was so satisfying for me to see him being rewarded for his dream and his vision to improve the health of mankind worldwide. And that was the messaging that his son, Dr. Ted, was going to present from stage. You see, it wasn't about him. He didn't have to be the star. He just was. He had a knowingness. And this is part of the legacy that I talk about. When he entered the top of those steps and nobody said anything, nobody did a chink of a glass or let's raise a toast or said something out loud. It was just like this happened. It was like an energy that permeated the room. And it created a feeling and an energy that I carry with me to this day. Those are the kinds of memories that can be created for you inside the world of Jen. You see, that only was possible because Kevin had a dream prior to this circumstance unfolding. And we were introduced to Kevin by Fred years before that, to do an infomercial about dynamic health. You see, it's all tied together. All of the pieces and points and touch points in your life are all related. There are no coincidences, there are no accidents. There just is. That's what occurs. That's what I was seeing walking down the beach, as most people would just have been having a walk on the beach. But that's not what happens once Jen gets inside of you. Once you feel that energy, once you understand and have a knowingness about who you can become and what you can do with and for others, it is a glorious place to be. And I'm proud to be a part of it and proud to be a part of it with you. I will also share with you that as I was walking to the beach on this particular morning, I passed a sign on a sidewalk. And it looked to me like it had been written in chalk. And the sign said, "Last night was the last night of my past life." And wow, did that hit home. You see, last night was the last night because last night is in the past. It's over. It was the last night of my past life. And for me, here I was heading to the beach, and I was actually heading to film a Friday update, and I saw this sign on the sidewalk, and I just kept playing it over and over in my head because, well, I'll get to the second piece of that in just a moment. But it triggered something. It resonated with me, and so I walked on, and I went to lunch at another place with a gentleman that I met, and I was walking later in the day, and I saw that sign again on another sidewalk in another area of South Beach. And this time I stopped and took a picture of it because I had regretted that I didn't take a picture of it before, because I thought that would be a great lesson to share with our partner in the rehab business that we're in, because in the rehab facility that we're in, because it's so significant. The past is in the past. Last night was the last night of my past life. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to move forward. And I remembered thinking, when I saw the logo that was painted on the sidewalk, I remembered thinking, oh, there's a piece of gum or something on that. There's something, and I wish that wasn't there. It'd be more perfect. And then I realized that it was perfect. You see, because all of us have a time in our life when there's a little mark, a little gum. There's a little gum on your shoe. Everybody has a challenge that they've had at some point in their life. And I looked further at the picture after I'd had it back in my hotel room, and I saw that there was a crack up across the top of the sidewalk that I didn't even see at the time I took the picture. And I realized that it's so true for everyone. There are times in your life when you felt cracked. There are times in your life when it's been difficult. There are times in your life when it's been hard. Maybe that's right now. I've had stories of people that have shared with me that when they joined Gin, they were at the very bottom. It was like the last $1,000 they had to get in. And they figured that they needed it more than ever. Maybe that's where you are right now. I don't know. Maybe you're somewhere where you've patched the crack. Maybe you've stepped over the crack. Maybe you're on a new slate. Maybe you're looking forward, and the past is in the past, and you've learned how to forget, and you've learned how to forgive, and you've learned how to move forward. You see, when I talk about Jen is all around you, it's because it is. Because it's in you. It is you. This is the beauty and the power that we have as a group and as a club. This is who we are. This is what happens as you move through these levels and you begin to change, and you begin to change your frequency, and you begin to change the people that you hang out with. I was sharing that picture with our partner in the facility in Southern Illinois, in the rehab facility. She said, "You're in Miami? You need to go. You need to go to this hotel and have lunch or dinner. It's called the Satai." She said, "It's got this really great Mediterranean vibe. It's this Zen kind of feel." I said, "Say that name again?" Because I was down by the beach and the waves were crashing. It was kind of noisy. She said, "It's the Satai." I said, "You're not going to believe this. I had lunch there yesterday. I had lunch there with the guy that I was there to see, and he actually had the original package that the developer put together when it was a flat piece of beach, and they were going to build this facility." And she said, "Well, that's crazy, because I know about it because the current owner of that very property is a friend of mine from St. Louis." You see, this is the interconnectivity that we have in this club and in your lives, and the touch points that I talk about. It's no coincidence. I had one of the most spectacular. It was a Mediterranean salad with some fresh tuna on there, grilled tuna. It was spectacular. The view was looking over the dunes and into the water, and that cruise ship that I was talking about was still out there. It was a beautiful day. I share that with you not because these stories are about me, because it's not about me, and I get that. It's not about my ego. And I have some news for you. It's not about you either. It's not about your ego. This club is about us. This club is about us. You see, you don't have to be right. You just have to be. You just simply have to be, do, and have. And when you get that, you'll have everything in your life that you desire. I so look forward to seeing you on the beaches of the world soon. I'm Dr. Tom. Have a spectacular week.